Welcome to another episode of Unsavory Fellow. I am Nick James. I'm excited to have my best friend and reoccurring guest, the biggest casting director in North America, to me, Sean Milliken of Sean Milliken Casting.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Say it again.
Not the biggest in North America, but
I don't know.
no.
Wait a minute. Because you and I always debate this.
Yeah, no.
Hold on a second. In commercials?
Yeah.
Commercials?
Maybe in Vancouver, but
Not the U.S.?
Well-
You do all the commercials in Canada, not the U.S.
yeah, not all of them. There's other.
I mean, I'm
casting
saying
directors.
most commercials are made in Canada, correct?
A lot of them are. Now they go
And you
wherever.
do most of them.
Mexico City and
You're the biggest.
Bulgaria.
He's the biggest. Sean Milliken
I'm
casting.
happy to be working.
Yeah. Which is what we're going to get into Father's Day because that's you and I had. Yeah. that might go down. That could happen. But because Sean and I were away at a men's retreat
Yeah.
in our without saying it, but the club we're in, and I was the speaker at this
Club.
this retreat, and we were there, and before we got there, it was up in the mountains, and we stopped for a coffee at this place, and it reminded me of my dad, my real dad, when he lived up in Northern California in the redwoods, and how we got into it, but we started talking about our dads because we both have these dads that just disappeared early on in our lives. They just took off. And as we got into it, we were talking, as we always do, about our dads, right?
Yeah.
And we thought this would be a great podcast. And also we realized it's Father's Day coming up.
Yeah. My dad had me when he was 20 years old.
Right. And when did he
know.
leave?
At 21. But he played sports. He played volleyball.
No, I know.
Yeah, that was his thing.
But what I was saying was he wasn't there for you. Well, I guess we're just going to get into it.
Yeah.
No, he wasn't there. But you and I were talking. We talk about this shit all the time, our dads.
Yeah.
Because we're dads.
Right.
But we talk about how your dad, so at 21, you were 2 years old, he was gone out of the picture.
I think one.
Okay, even better, one.
Yeah.
He wasn't around. But
brief
did he
minute.
live at the time when your mom and him were together? Did they live next door to each other?
No, my grandmother, his mom lived 2 doors down from me, really for most of my life, my childhood. But no, he took off. He went to Europe and played volleyball and I don't know. He was always traveling and played in the Olympics and stuff and did the Pan American Games and he was just, that was his thing. He was just razor focused on that.
But was he ever married to your mom?
Yeah, they got married.
They were, right?
Yeah,
In
they
the
got
beginning,
married.
First year.
Yeah. And
They were married.
They had a little apartment in Venice.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And then the wheels fell off.
What do you mean they fell out? The wheels
Well, I
fell
don't know. I wasn't there. I don't remember. But they broke up, obviously.
Yeah.
And then, and then I would just see him periodically. He would just, because his mom lived next door to me. So they'd always be like, oh, your dad's here. And I'd be like, oh. And, he had a VW bus.
But we talk about...
Yeah, I remember, I think one time, he never called me on my birthday or anything. It wasn't like that.
Right.
Nothing, it just showed
How
up.
often would you see him?
Maybe once or twice a year, maybe more when I was younger, or, 3-4 times a year.
And what would you guys do?
Gosh. I mean, I can't.
Like, was he like a father?
I got obsessed with volleyball in 5th grade, 6th grade. You're still pretty young. And I remember telling his mom that I wanted a volleyball for Christmas.
Because you wanted to be like your dad.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I love the sport, but probably.
But that's where it started.
Yeah, that's where it started. And so.
I got a bass guitar from my dad.
Actually, he played in this professional league that they had in Southern California, like the Western states.
Mm.
They had a professional indoor volleyball league. And he was on the Santa Barbara Breakers and the Tucson Sky and these things. And
Yeah,
so
he was a real deal.
So they would have indoor 6-man volleyball teams, and you root for your city. and they won it a couple of years and stuff. So I remember going to some of those games, and then I wanted a volleyball, and he had all these volleyballs in his VW bus, you know, in the net, the nets with all the balls, and I was like, oh man, I want one of those balls, and
To your dad.
well, to my grandmother, and then
Okay.
when he showed up, he's like, hey man, I heard you wanted a volleyball, and he handed me this volleyball in a box. It was one of those like $5 Big Five plastic volleyballs that nobody would use.
Right.
And I just remember going like, oh, thanks. And I was like, I'm never going to use this.
Which is funny, right? Because you and I always talk about our dads are so similar, right?
Yeah.
Because I remember it was my birthday, and I went to visit my dad. It didn't go well. It never did. But as I was leaving, I was getting out. He goes, oh, it's your birthday. I forgot. I got something for you. And he lets me out of the car, and he goes around the back, and he opens the trunk, and he pulls out a members only jacket, and it was used.
Right.
It was his jacket.
Right.
I remember looking at the collar, and the collar was all worn out and shit.
Yeah.
But it was the same kind of thing.
Yeah. No thought.
But what we've talked about is that jacket. I wanted it. I didn't care.
Right.
Because it was my dad.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
gave it to me. It's like one of the few things he gave to me.
Yeah. Of
I
course.
fucking wore that jacket.
Yeah. I didn't play with that volleyball.
You did.
No, it hurt you. It was like plastic. It was lame. You'd hurt your hand. So, but, you know, but then we've hung out periodically over the years, you know, little moments of stuff. And, you know, it just is what it is. It's,
What is it?
it's really nothing. But I've had other father figures in my life. So, you know, it evens out like you.
Like me?
Yeah, you had Pat. I mean, Bob.
No, but seriously though, like we were talking
Yeah. So,
about our dads at that
yeah,
thing.
and then
we went through all kinds
but
of
then
shit.
weird stuff would happen when you would go see your dad, and then you wondered why you never saw your dad.
Well, because
you did weird stuff when you were there.
I did, and that's what was funny. We were saying, right? Because we were talking about our dads, and you did weird shit too.
Yeah, but not like as often as you did.
Maybe that. But what's funny?
You had
is-
more opportunity.
Well, with my dad, right? So my dad left when I was 7, right? And then he moved out here to California. And then I didn't see him for like probably 5 years or talk to him. So he didn't know me at all,
Yeah.
right? And what you were saying, which is true, we were kind of going like, we were saying our dads never wanted us around. And then you said, because I did weird shit. A few times I would see him, like my mom would get mad. She'd go, you're going to go see your father. And she'd call my dad. And she'd go, you better take him out for the weekend. And my dad did not want to do it because he didn't like kids.
Right.
And he'd be like, fine. He didn't know me. And I would go there. And what we realized was
Yeah.
that you don't know this teenage boy. And he comes up here and I'm hitting puberty
Hard.
like I'm jerking off like a machine. Right.
Yeah, he has no idea what's about to walk through
He
the
doesn't.
door.
He doesn't have any
You're on
idea.
fire.
I'm on fire. Like I'm doing it like 3 times a day. I can't get enough of it.
Yeah.
I found this thing.
And you don't care.
I don't care. It feels great. And you have a nose when you're a young boy going through puberty. It's like you know where the dirty magazines are. You know where porn is. And I remember when my dad lived with us when they were married, I remember he had this like sort of barrel where he kept all these magazines, but in the center, rolled up, he had hidden the Playboys, the Penthouse magazine, right? And I remember visiting him that first time. I hadn't seen him in years. And I must have been about 12, I think. And I was sitting there and he goes, I'm going to take a nap. He goes, why don't you take a nap? And I didn't want to take a nap. I'm 12. So I go, oh, okay. And he goes into the bedroom to take a nap. And I thought, where are those magazines? And I saw a barrel. And I thought, I wonder if they're in that barrel, right? So I went in there and I jackpot. I find all these Playboy magazines, right? And I remember I laid them out all over the floor.
Where? Where were you?
In his living room.
Oh my God! You didn't go in the bathroom?
No.
You just went right in the living room.
Because you know how I did it. That you're setting me up. Because when I was a kid, it was weird. I didn't use my hand. I had this idea in my mind that what pubic hair was, like female pubic hair. And back then in the 70s, it was shag carpeting, right?
Yeah.
So in my mind, I would take my pants and I would rub one out on the carpeting. So I would hump the carpet. Because in my mind, I remember thinking that this must be what pubic hair feels like. And I wanted to get as close to it as I could. So I remember at my dad's, I laid the magazines out all over. He goes in to take a nap. I pull my pants down, and I'm just going to town on that rug. Right? Right? You know what I mean?
I know.
And I got him all out, and it's like I'm in heaven. Like I hit the jackpot. And I'm just going to town. Then all of a sudden, I didn't hear my fucking dad walk out. He walks up behind me, and my pants are down, my bare ass. And I'm just going. And all of a sudden, he kicks me. And he goes, "Hey."
Where'd he kick you?
In my butt. And he goes, "What are you doing?" And I fucking, in one motion, with one left hand, I took all the magazines and I slid them under his TV like a perfect, and with this hand, I pulled my pants up and I go, "Nothing." And he looked at me and he was so disappointed. He was just so, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The way I was looking up at him like this. And he just looked at me and he goes, "What are you doing?" And I go, "Nothing." He goes, "All right, get up. We're going to go to the airport." And he put me on a plane.
And that was it.
That was it. And so the way I left it with my dad was like I did this weird freakish thing. And at the time, I didn't know other people masturbated. I thought it was just that I just did this weird thing, right? Especially the way I did it, you know? And so then the next time, as you know, so then I don't see him for a few more years.
Right.
Right? My mom's fucking sick of me and she's pissed. I'm getting in trouble at school. She calls him, you better come take your son. And now he's married to this young, hot gal that used to be my babysitter. And she was hot. You've heard about her. And so I go back to visit her, right, to him. And he's got this hot wife. And now they're living up in the mountains in Northern Cal. And I'm 14 now. And
On fire.
I'm on fire. Right? I'm really on fire.
Yeah.
Right?
You know what? You've seen pubic hair.
Oh, yeah. I've gone to second base. I've actually I think I just went to second base by that time. Maybe. I don't know. But anyway, long story short, I get there to my dad's. His wife, his new hot wife, who was my babysitter, had a broken leg because they had a motorcycle accident. She had a cast up to her thigh. And she says, when my dad goes into the market, she goes, "You can help me. You can help me change my underwear. I bet you'd like that." That's what she said to me, right? She was very young. And I'm thinking, oh, yeah, I'm going to change that underwear. It's all I could think about. So the whole time I'm walking around with a raging red rocket. Like it's out of control. Right?
Yeah, it's controlling you.
It's controlling me. And I'm in my room and and all of a sudden I heard this light go on and I could see through my bedroom window, and this light went on, it was into their bathroom. And all of a sudden I could see like this straight shot and all of a sudden I see her in there with her shirt off. And she's got poison oak, and she's rubbing this calamine lotion or poison oak cream all over her rash. And she's got her shirt off.
You can see it.
I can see it.
Clearly.
But at this time, I don't lay down anymore. I'm grown out of that.
Oh,
yeah.
That was just okay.
That was when I was really young. But I remember I get up and I lean on the wall, right? And I'm watching like just a pervert. Right? But I'm just a kid, right?
This is the second time at your dad's house.
And I'm going to town, right? And I'm just like, this is incredible. It's like the windows from here to that post right there. And I'm leaning for leverage. And I remember all of a sudden my hand slipped and my elbow goes right into the window and makes a sound. And I saw her go like this. And she looks. And my dad at the time had come into the scene and was helping rub lotion on her. But when my elbow hit that glass, she turned and she looked and she goes, "He's watching us. He's watching." And I fucking panicked.
Oh my gosh.
And ran and jumped into my bed. And I saw my dad go like this and look, and I saw him run around.
So if you can see him do that look, he sees you.
He must have.
Right.
But
you can't see him look at you and then imagine that he didn't see you.
No. But he couldn't see me that good because the lights are out in my room. And I could tell because he's going like this. He's trying to look, right?
Okay.
But when I saw him fucking bolt and I could hear him ripping down the hallway, man, I fucking jumped in bed. And I pretended like I was asleep, and he opens the door. And again, he goes, "What are you doing?" "What are you doing?" And I fucking laid there frozen, right? Next morning, what happens?
You got to go.
He goes, "Get your stuff. You're going to the airport."
You're going to the airport.
But you go to visit your dad.
My dad invited me to Santa Barbara for this drunk draw.
Drunk draw.
Tournament. It's a beach volleyball tournament, 4-man beach volleyball tournament on East Beach in Santa Barbara. And I was like, great. I went up there, and you go out on the beach at like 7:30 in the morning. And there's a bunch of volleyball courts there. There's probably like 15 volleyball courts. And at the end of each volleyball court, there's a big plastic trash can full of beer. And
How old are you?
I think I was like 17 or 18.
You're a kid still.
Yeah.
And your dad has invited you to play in a drunk draw volleyball tournament. Great.
And I was excited because I was playing volleyball in high school and stuff. So,
but you get to be with your dad, too,
yeah.
right?
Oh no, I was super excited. And then the tournament starts. You draw names, and he and I were on the same team with these two other guys, and you start playing it. If you make a good play, the ref will be like, "Hey, the other team has to drink," or the ref could be like, "That was a great play. You guys all take a drink," and everyone goes back and drinks a beer or whatever. And by 11:30 in the morning, like all those 15 courts, there's maybe like 5 courts that are playing. Everyone else is kind of laying in the sand.
They're
Wasted, and you're just drinking constantly, and. But it was fun. We played, and then after that, he's like, brought me back, and I was exhausted. I mean, you're at the beach all day.
Are you drunk?
Oh, I'm drunk.
Yeah.
But I'm not,
With your dad, though.
But, I was already in my,
in your disease.
In my cups, so I was not, out of control or anything.
I mean, because you're
But I was tired, so I was like, yeah, I'm going to go lay down. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to go out for dinner with these a bunch of people from the drunk draw. You're welcome to come if you want. And I'm like, there's no way. And so I just passed out. And then when I woke up, I was like, oh, wow, I'm in my dad's bedroom. Like, I didn't even know the guy really.
Right.
And he's got all these cool things in his closet, like all these uniforms, like just cool, amazing things, like
you're looking around.
I'm looking around. I'm like, wow, this is so cool. And I'm looking, and cool jerseys from the Pan American Games and all kinds of cool stuff.
I feel like my hero.
Sweatpants from the Olympics and just all this cool stuff. And
that you wanted, I bet.
Oh yeah, I was like,
why didn't you give it to me, right?
Oh yeah, I was like, man. Then I just ended up driving home, and then I didn't hear from him for like 3 years.
See?
Yeah.
See, that's what I'm talking about. So we had these dads.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I must have been graduated, right? Anyways, I'm bad with time, but a long time.
And I knew your dad pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would say, I feel like I did because I'd grown up hearing about what a fucking asshole he was.
Yeah.
I mean, but he was a likable.
As a
dad.
Yeah.
Just like my dad.
Yeah.
But super charismatic, cool. Your dad was a professional volleyball player. My dad was good looking. Had a rock band.
Yeah.
And you wanted.
Big Johnson.
What's that?
Big Johnson.
Giant dick. He'll tell you.
No, he told you.
He told me. Which I've told that, haven't I?
I don't think.
That's embarrassing. This is the kind of dad. Have I said this already? I think I have. I'll say it again. Who cares? It's Father's Day.
Yeah, this is a Father's Day special.
We went out to bond, and I hadn't seen my dad in years again.
Yeah.
Because he didn't like kids. So now it's years. He goes, hey, I'm coming into town. He rolls into L.A. He wants to go out to a bar. We go out drinking. I'm 21. I got my Brazilian wife. I married in a blackout. But he and I are out carousing. We come back, and he says the same thing, like, what a great time. And I go, wow. And I felt like it's the first time I bonded with my dad.
Right.
And I felt like, wow, this is my dad, you know? And maybe we're going to have a relationship. And then he says, yeah. He puts his hand on my shoulder. He goes, I had a great time with you. He goes, I didn't like kids much. He goes, but as an adult, he goes, you're really fun to hang around. He goes, let me ask you a question. He goes, I bet you got a big dick, don't you? Because I got a big dick. My dick's like 10 inches. How big is your dick? And I'm like, no, I don't have a big dick. You know, and I was so disappointed in him. Like, he was probably disappointed in me because I don't have a big dick. Right? All kidding aside, but I was so disappointed. I go, this is not my dad. This is not what in my mind, you're growing up and you have this idea of an absentee father. We create all these stories and images about what we want them to be, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And they're not it.
No.
You know, and you hang on to these, which is what you and I talked about. But what's funny was the flip side of us always having these conversations was when we both realized at that men's retreat that we did weird shit. And if you put yourself in their shoes, you get this one kid's coming up, he's jerking off all over everything, right?
Yeah.
You don't know him.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
How do you develop a relationship with a...
Well, you do it early on and you don't leave and you stay in touch and you fucking send cards and you stay in touch with the kid and you call him on his birthday and wish him Merry Christmas. And we didn't have any of that shit.
No, we didn't have any of that shit.
No, nothing.
Yep.
You know, and it continues. You know, I always got like when I go see my grandmother next door, his mom, she'd always be like, you got to reach out to your dad. Have you talked to your dad? I'm like, I'm 8. I don't know. I don't even know how to get a hold of the guy.
Yeah.
Like, well, shouldn't he be reaching out to me? I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, but.
And when's the last time you talked to your dad?
Oh, now it's been like probably 4 years or something. When his mom passed, I think he was like, whew,
Yeah.
I'm off the hook.
He's free.
Now. He's free. Yeah.
It's almost like it's for my dad, it's when I became an adult, because he told my mom, he told me, I don't like kids. He didn't want to be a father. He straight out said it, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But he always said he couldn't wait till I was an adult so he could have a relationship with me.
Right.
You know, and you can imagine too, if you don't like it, even like another time we talk about bad things when I went there, you know, the treehouse. You know, that was the third time I went to visit him. Right?
And he built you a tree.
He did I gotta give him
all
credit.
Coming together.
Dude, he tried that one time. Like, I got there, we're up in the redwoods where he lives with his hot wife, and I wasn't doing anything like that weird yet. I was trying to control myself.
Right.
I'm not gonna do it. I'm not doing it.
This is the third time.
No, this is the second time.
Oh, okay.
Second. This is in between.
Oh, okay.
I think. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
They are all fucking a blur. But he's got these giant redwoods in the front of his house, and he goes, remember in Ohio? He goes, did you ever build a tree house? I go, yeah, we would build trees. He goes, how about that high? I bet you can't build one that high. We've never had one that high. So he goes, I'm going to do it. And he was a pretty good carpenter. Pulls out all his tools and wood, and he fucking builds me this incredible fucking tree house between these 3 redwood trees, right? With a window and a fucking ladder. It had to be 40 feet up in the air. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was nuts. And then I go, again, this is like, wow, I'm bonding with my dad.
Right.
This is what it's like to have a dad, you know? And I said, hey, can I sleep up here tonight? He goes, of course you can. He goes, let me fix a light. And he made a light in there and everything. And It was just fucking awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
And I slept up there. And I remember in the middle of the night, I had to fucking pee. But I'm 40 feet up in the air. And I go, fuck. I gotta go. And I started to climb down this fucking, he made these ladders out of wood stuck to the tree. And I start to climb down. And I realize I'm not gonna fucking make it. I'm gonna piss my pants. It's too far. I'll never make it down. So I start to go back up. I go, I'm not gonna make it to the top. I start to go back down again. I fucking finally climb to the top again. I make it. I just race to pull my pants down. And I just stick my little wiener out the window. And I'm just fucking gone. Relieving myself. Like, you know what I mean? Back teeth are floating. I can't believe it. And I hear the pee landing on something. Like, and I'm like, what is that, right? And I look out the window and it's a tarp, right? It's a tarp, so I don't know what it's covering at the bottom of the thing. The next morning, I see my fucking dad. I hear him come outside. I look out my window, and he's got his motorcycle helmet. I go, oh, he's going for a ride. And he starts walking over to the tree, and I look out the window like, why is he coming over here? And then I realize under the tarp is his motorcycle. His Harley's sitting in there. So I'm watching. I go, oh, fuck. I don't think he'll know it's pee, right? He goes over and he grabs the tarp. He doesn't see it, and he yanks the tarp off. And the piss just goes in his mouth.
Wow.
Because I saw him look out the window, and I saw him go, oh, my God. He goes, God damn it. And he looked up into the window.
You act like you're sleeping.
Huh?
You act like you're sleeping
Oh,
again.
I just fucking did. I just got out of the way, right, of his eye shot. Then all of a sudden he goes, get down. Get down right now. He didn't go on the ride. He got the tools out, and he fucking instantly tore the treehouse down. He just tore it down.
Yeah.
And I just sat there and I watched, and I was crushed. You know what I mean? And you know what happened? He took me to the airport.
That was it.
But the funny thing is, what we were talking about was we wanted them to love us so bad, right?
Right, of course.
You know? I mean, and you're kind of, I mean, I have a relationship with my dad.
Yeah,
now.
you do. Yours is better than mine.
I invited my dad to be in my wedding.
Yeah.
Didn't know him very well at all, but it's like, fuck it, I'm going to do it.
I invited him to be in my first wedding.
And he didn't go.
And I had it all set up, and we were talking, and he was just like, yeah, I'll be there, dude. You know? And I remember being like at the reception, just like, where is he?
Yeah.
I go, is my dad here? And they're like, no, he's not. He's not
Who
here.
was telling you no, he's not?
Oh, just like my family, my other side of my family.
Yeah.
They're like, no, he's not here. I was like, wow, it's so weird. We were talking about it and addresses and times and all this stuff. And then he ended up calling me, I don't know, a few days later. Or maybe I called him, like, what happened? And he's like, dude, you never told me where the rehearsal dinner was. So I fucking went to Vegas and got drunk. I was like, wow, man, what an ass. You know, like, okay. You could have called. Like,
Which is weird because
you're supposed to be here with us and we're going to show you everything.
But he's not
It was in
capable.
Vancouver. So it was like,
Yeah.
you don't know where we're going or what we're doing. Like, you know what I mean? So.
But isn't that true? He's
Yeah.
not capable.
No, he's not capable.
And that's the thing, which I think it took a long time to understand that, right? It took and to accept that, you know, and you and I went through a lot in recovery to deal with that and let that go.
Yeah.
And you have to, at some point, forgive. But it's like Ted, you know, our sponsor said to me when I used to complain about my stepdad.
Right.
I wanted my real dad, because, you know, I got a stepdad when I was 9
Yeah.
and 10. But that took a long time for me to realize that was my father. And Ted said to us, our dads just sired us. They don't, just because they, you know, had sex and impregnated our mothers,
Right.
doesn't mean anything, really.
Right. It's true.
You know?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Ted said, they sired us. And they were incapable. Like that old saying, they did the best they could with what they had.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
And until you can
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm getting.
understand that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. And I'm getting married again too. So,
You're going through it again.
yeah. And then my sweet cousin who I love, she's like, "Is your dad coming?" I'm like, "No, you know what? I'm not even inviting him this time."
Right.
And that's okay.
And he would be too uncomfortable.
He wouldn't go anyway. So it's like, let's just
Right.
cut through the chase.
And don't you think that he's just so uncomfortable that he can't? Because we talk about it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
he
yeah.
can't. He can't. He's already.
Yeah.
He's already burned the bridge as far as he's concerned, in my mind. And he.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, it's really,
He's like the
like
child.
he's never showed zero interest in my daughter. When
Right.
my daughter was born, he came to Vancouver, actually, and he gave me this cutting board, this plastic cutting board. And I still have it, actually.
Because you love him.
And he stayed with me, and we were doing movies at the time. And so we brought him to set. And I was like so excited. My dad was there, my
Yeah.
daughter was just, a few months old. And he instantly started sweet talking the wardrobe lady. And the next thing I know, he's setting up a date with her. And that night, he's like, "Hey, man, I'm going out with so-and-so. We're going
Wardrobe
out."
lady.
I go, "Oh, I thought we were going to be like as a family here for a night." No, he had to go out. And
It's not his deal.
no, it's not his deal.
And it's
And he
so,
did. And he took off.
Yeah.
And then a day later or whatever, he took off. But he has different relationships with different people. Like my
Yeah.
cousin, I think he's much closer to my cousin. I was in Canada for many years, so, still am. But I think he bonded with my cousin more
Yeah.
than me.
Well, he's
which
not
is
his
fine.
father. That's
Right,
not his son.
exactly,
He doesn't
exactly.
want to be a father.
No.
And my dad straight up, he admits it.
Yeah,
He didn't
yeah.
want to be a father, right?
Yeah,
But what
true.
the great thing is, because you talked about your daughter,
Yeah.
the amazing thing, which Ted also said, he
Yeah,
said this to me, when I was so angry at my dad.
Right.
I was so fucking angry. I was like, I'm kicking his ass. And I almost did in a bar
Right.
when we were in our early 20s. I almost knocked him out. Like, I was like, okay, dude, you're going to be sleeping on the dance floor right now. We were at a club fucking drinking. I had it with him. He got scared, man. He should have been, right? And, but the funny thing was, Ted said, when I was so angry about my father and him not being there, and I wanted him to love me so fucking much. I remember bringing a trophy to him one of the times I went there. And I remember I couldn't wait to show him because he was an athlete. He had tons of trophies. I had one trophy I won my whole fucking life. And I can't wait to show him. I unzip my suitcase, I flop it open, and it's broken. You know the one, Dill? Yeah. It's the running one. The man had snapped off. And I was like, oh my God, nothing works. He's never going to love me.
I know.
And then also next to the trophy, the snap trophy was I was fucking 12. There was a pack of Marlboro Reds. I was already smoking.
Right.
He was not a smoker.
Oh.
He goes, you smoke? I go, no, I don't know how those got in there.
Right. Lies.
Yeah, lie. But what Ted said, back to what Ted said was, he said, your dad showed you owe your dad a great deal of thanks.
Yes.
And I go, what are you talking about? I was so angry at that.
Yes.
And he's the one who said he did the best he could with what he had.
Right.
He goes, also, he taught you how to be the best father and husband ever. And I go, what are you fucking talking about, Ted? I go, I don't even have a girlfriend. What are we talking about here? And he goes, you'll see. He goes, you'll see.
Yeah.
And now we know what he meant by that,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Because the great gift is we get to be fathers,
Yes.
right?
Oh, yeah. It's the best.
And look at your daughter.
I know. So
She's
great.
a fucking doctor,
I know.
right?
great.
You raised her. You were always in her life.
Yes.
And how do you
exactly.
think you learned that?
I just did the opposite of what my dad did. Well, no, it's so crazy because when
That's a little true, though.
no, but like when I can still close my eyes and see my daughter being born and and being there, and it's like wow, from right there in that moment, you're like, okay, I got you,
Yes.
and so to be like, I'm just gonna check out, I don't know what, it's just a different generation, but I don't want to blame a whole generation because
No.
I got on that track for a little while.
Because it's true what Ted said. The beauty of having these fathers that we have
Yeah, yeah.
the great thing is always to me is self-reflection, and we get to look at, like we were talking about, well, what's our part in going to visit our weird dads is that we were weird kids doing weird shit. And by looking at that, that helps me forgive my dad a little bit.
Right.
It helps me be a little more understanding and go, yeah, the guy didn't want kids, and I come up here and I'm shooting loads all over fucking everything.
Disgusting.
It is, and it is.
They had to get those carpets scrubbed.
Oh, dude. Crunchy carpets. No, but all kidding aside, the great thing is that you know, even us having these conversations about our dads all the time, and when you pointed out, well, we did weird shit.
Yeah.
It gives me a little bit like, yeah, man, my dad, you know, he didn't like kids in the first place, and I'm doing weird stuff when I go visit him.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to deal with a kid.
No, he doesn't.
And I learned.
But see, my dad was also a coach for volleyball. So he coached at UCSB for years.
Right.
Men's volleyball. And so he had, not being a dad, but he broed out with all these kids.
Different. No strings attached.
Right. And I remember going up, he invited me up for a game, and I went up there with Ivania. Brasileira.
Oh, Ivania.
And we drove up there and went to one of the
She was really hot.
UCSB volleyball games. And after, he's like, hey, dude, we're going to the frat house for a party. You know, meet us over there. And we go to this huge frat house in Isla Vista and go into this backyard. And my dad's just working the keg, you know, red cups. He's just handing them out to everybody. And Ivani's like, your dad is so funny. You know, I'm like, yeah, that's my dad. You know, like,
But he's like a kid.
He's like a kid.
He doesn't have the tools to be a dad.
No, and then you know, maybe a year or two after that, he came down and he's like, hey, let's go to a club like your dad. They always wanted to go to clubs.
The party. That's how they could connect with us.
Yeah. So we ended up going to this club in Marina Del Rey. I can't remember what that's called. Remember that? It doesn't matter. But
in the marina?
Yeah.
Popcorns.
That's
That's where I went with my dad.
Yeah, that's right.
That's where he told me how big his dick was.
That's right. Popcorns. Yeah. So we go to Popcorns. He's like, hey, man, you got a fake ID? I go, yeah. I have my buddy's passport. Tour. And so I go up first. He goes, you go up first to the doorman. I show him my thing. I go, walk right in. He's behind me. Shows his thing. He walks in. And he had a much younger girl with him that he was dating.
Yeah.
And he and I are standing inside the club, and she's just they're looking at everything because they think she's underage. And I'm like, oh, that's my dad's girlfriend. She can't even get into the club. I go, wow. And eventually she got in. And, yeah, it's just different.
But I think what's great is I really do believe that. Like,
I was going to tell you one thing.
What?
So we go to the keg party, and I'm like talking to some of the players, and they're like, "Hey, who are you?" I go, "Oh, I'm Sean. Larry's my dad." And they're like, "What?" I go, "His nickname was Boomer." So I go, "Yeah, I'm Boomer's kid." They go, "Larry, you didn't ever tell us you had a kid." It's like, "This is Boomer's kid," and I was just like, "Yeah, awkward, so awkward." Nobody knew of me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Nobody knew.
There you go. That says it all.
Right.
But the great thing, right, is like I said in this little promo video I just put out talking about you, was you had your kid before I had Dylan. Mm-hmm. And you went through a divorce.
Yep.
How old was she? 4?
6.
6? Okay. And you stayed with her. Through everything, through her life. You were just down the street.
Yeah.
You never left.
No.
You got to break that cycle.
Yeah.
And you got the gift. The real gift is what your dad and my dad missed out on.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true.
I hate to, I get emotional.
Yeah. No,
because it's gratitude.
Yeah.
We got our kids.
I know.
They blew it.
Yeah, they totally blew it. And
you missed out, man. And I feel sorry,
Yeah.
I get it. He doesn't have those feelings, but I don't care, dude. But he did. He taught me how to stay because I did the opposite. And I get to be a dad. That's incredible. You get to, your daughter's a doctor.
Yeah, I know. It's
You
crazy.
raised a girl that became a doctor. That's fucking nuts.
Yeah. I didn't think she was that smart. No, that's a joke. That's a joke.
Right? But isn't that the truth?
Yeah, no, it is incredible. Yeah, you have no idea where your child's going to, I just was like, I'm just staying in her life. Hey, we have so much fun together.
Yeah.
She's so fun. And yeah, why would you just bail on that? But, it is. It's a gift. And, you and I fully took advantage of it. You put Miho in sports and you were his coach and you guys were involved in sports 24,
Oh, and Cole.
And Cole.
Fucking Cole lived at her house half the time.
Yeah.
Because it was sports.
Yeah.
I was coaching and these guys were playing football and rugby. And that's the thing. It's like, it's funny when I brought that trophy to my dad, I wanted him to be proud of me and see that.
Yeah.
But what I got to do was watch these guys play sports. And they allowed me to be a part of that. And which is such a gift.
Oh, yeah.
To be able to be in their lives, you
Yeah.
know. It's a fucking gift, And Jim's dad was a football coach.
Yeah.
Right, Jim?
Yep.
And your father passed away.
Yeah. 25 years ago.
What was
Oh,
your
wow.
relationship like with him?
I was really lucky. I had a great relationship with him. Oddly enough, we never had a discussion about penis size. But, no, I was really lucky. I was lucky. And it's funny because I remember the night he died, I remember crying, wondering, I just wanted him to be proud of me. That's all I cared about, was I wanted to be proud of me. And my dad was great, but in your guys' situation, I mean, it's interesting, this whole question, or the need we have
Yeah.
for our dads to be proud of us.
You're
It seems
right.
like- and it sounds like you guys have the same thing.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's interesting how it kind of, how much we desire that.
Which is so different. The dynamic of all of us in this room, right,
Yeah.
is Cole's dad. Cole comes from divorced parents.
Yeah.
But you're so close with your dad.
Yeah.
Right?
Close to my dad, yeah.
I mean, his dad was fucking driving with me to every fucking game. He was coaching with me, And that was like the greatest part of my whole life.
Yeah.
And it's a different dynamic. His dad stayed in his life kind of like, like Sean,
Yeah.
in your daughter's life.
Yeah.
And Dylan's dad, me, is just fucking
do you
whack
think?
job.
What do you think of your dad? Do you like your dad?
Hey, it's funny.
He's entertaining.
He is.
He's a good storyteller.
Goofy.
Keep him around.
You ever ask me about your dick?
No.
Dylan got your dad's genes.
They skipped me.
Yeah, they skipped
Went
you
to him.
and-
Good for him.
Yeah.
But that's why it's funny how I was thinking of Father's Day and how it's coming up. And you know what I want to say though, but I was lucky because I don't want to go without saying my real dad is Bob, my stepdad.
Yes.
That's my dad.
Yeah.
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 That guy, I mean, he let me loose because I was such a wild teenager. I'm like, don't tell me what to do. You're not my dad. But he hung in there and he knew, even though like they couldn't control anything I was doing, like he was the one that said he's going to have to figure it out. But he never left. Even though I was, trouble and doing
Right.
weird shit,
Yeah.
he never left. And it took me a long time to think about what Ted said and go, yeah, my dad sired me.
Right.
And he used to tell me, Bob's your dad. And I hated hearing that. But I
Yeah.
look at it now. Dude, you couldn't ask for a better dad.
Oh, yeah. The best.
He's a saint. I love him to death,
Yeah, he is the best.
And I'm fortunate to have a stepfather, that,
Yeah.
I've gotten to do so many wonderful things with, But it's all a process for everybody of
Yeah, and so many people have come in my life and have been instrumental and guided me. And, I was kind of raised by my grandfather,
which you said something, because I would always say to you, I would always tell Sean, I go, you should do Ancestry.com, right? Because he doesn't look anything like his dad. And we always make jokes. I would go, is that your dad? For real? Do you think that's your dad? And he'd go, I don't know if that's my dad, right?
Yeah, but no, we do look alike in
You look like
earlier
your
pics.
mom.
Yeah, I look a lot like my mom. Yeah.
Because at one point you said something really funny. When I made a crack about Steve. Remember what you
Oh, yeah. What did I say? I can't remember.
You go, Steve's his grandfather. And then I said, maybe Steve's your dad.
Right.
And then he goes, I've thought about that. And I was like, wait a minute. Really?
Nah. Well, no. Maybe. No. I mean, no. No, it can't be. No.
But it's really, I thought it would be a fun episode to get this.
Yeah.
Because Father's Day comes every year and there's all these weird emotions. And as it goes on, it constantly changes. For me, when I was young, Father's Day was a negative thing. I hated it because my dad wasn't around.
Right.
And I had a new stepdad I was trying to get to know, which
Yeah.
I didn't want to celebrate him on Father's Day.
Yeah.
I love to now. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, Cole, right? Your dad, you're living up in Washington with your dad now.
With my dad?
I mean, near your dad.
No, my dad lives down here.
Oh, he does?
Yeah, so he lives 2 blocks away.
But he's up there a lot.
He comes up to the lake, yeah.
Yeah,
I see him a lot.
yeah. But I remember him fucking coaching in rugby, no, football, Little League flag football one time. And his dad was fucking always on him about getting it right, you know. Come on, Cole, right? And his dad was coaching the flag football in the middle of this fucking play. Mike was yelling at Cole, come on, Cole. And Cole turns to him and he goes, stop. He goes, you're ruining my life. He was like 9 years old.
That's the best.
It was like,
That's the
and
best.
Mike, you saw him it sink into his dad. You know?
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Oh, that's great. Good for you, buddy. He's living vicariously through you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you do. And these guys were amazing athletes. Jim used to come. You came to all their games.
Oh, yeah.
We
loved
still
it.
go to Dylan's rugby games.
I know.
It's the best.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But that's why Father's Day to me changes. For it's uncomfortable for me and you because it's a awful feeling Father's Day when we're kids. Then we become fathers,
Yeah. And now it's great.
and now it's great.
Yeah.
Now we love Father's Day. It's the best because I feel proud. you
Oh,
know?
yeah.
I'm a
Totally.
dad.
Yeah.
You know.
It's true. Very lucky. We have such good kids.
Yeah.
Wait, was your dad the one that loves Rihanna?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that again?
It was like a YouTube video.
Yeah. He was at my house, and I think my daughter was there, and he was just watching this Rihanna video where she's in a bathtub or something. And he just kept going, oh, dude, look at that. Oh, man. Look at how hot she is, dude. Dude, check this out. Have you seen this video? It's unbelievable.
And how old is he?
Oh, he's like, I don't know, 65 or
And
something.
Laura, your daughter.
And my daughter was there just like, he's like, oh,
Hey, welcome to Grand.
fucking unbelievable. Look at that fucking body. It's just like, I forgot about that. Man. Yeah.
But that's what's great, right? That
Yeah,
ain't you, man. That's
yeah.
not you. That's him.
No, and that's, it is. And we've got, over the years, we've tried to reconnect. And
Yeah.
I'd go to Santa Barbara and try to, we play tennis or do different things. And,
Yeah.
and then, it just fizzles out. And it's like, that's okay.
Yeah, and they're old men. My dad is so, how crazy is this, right? You know, the last time my dad lives in Florida. He's like 87 years old. He was an incredible athlete, gymnast. And I would always practice before I'd go see him. How many push-ups can I do? How long can I hold a handstand on a chair? Because he did all this shit. So I wanted him to like me if I could do it, right? And I remember I told you this story,
Yeah.
the last time I went to fucking visit, when he was still probably 60, he said to me, he goes, can you do a kip? And I go, a kip? He goes, yeah. He goes, you roll back and you spring to your feet. And I go, yeah, I can do a kip because I practiced it, right? I rolled back, I did a kip, and I was all proud thinking he's going to be all stoked for me. He goes, what about no hands? I go, no-handed kip? I go, that doesn't even exist. He goes, I used to do it all the time. And I go, no, you didn't. He goes, I think I could probably still do one. He goes, let me see. He's in his 60s. Fucking just sat there for 1 second. He goes, okay. Fucking rolled back, no hands, fucking shot his legs out and landed like on his feet. And I was so angry.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
He goes, you try. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And that.
Because you just don't add up.
Huh?
You just don't add up.
I don't add up. But the last time I went to see him in Florida, I was staying in an Airbnb, and now at that time, he was 86. And I remember before I went to go visit him, man, I'm fucking doing push-ups in my Airbnb. I'm trying to get all fucking swole so that when I fucking see him, and I said to myself out loud, I go, yeah, motherfucker. I go, how about that? As I was doing them. You know what I mean?
It never goes away.
It doesn't. And I went to visit him, and he's just this old man. He's this skinny old man. I thought, what the fuck am I doing? Why am I still doing that?
Yeah.
Because I still want his approval.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's
And
true.
he thinks I'm great, though, as an adult. He loves Dylan.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
No, I know. Your dad's fun.
Yeah, he's fun. He's funny.
We talk all the time.
Yeah, I'm sure you
No,
guys
we
do.
don't. No, we don't.
He loves you. Anyway, Father's Day.
Yeah, Father's Day. Well, I was thinking about my father's father. You know, my father, I guess my grandfather, I never really met him. I think I met him one time, but he was a criminal.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Kind of criminal.
I think I'd just be guessing, but I know he did some time. And he
so he's
split with my grandmother. And I think the story goes, and forgive me if I'm wrong, but I think on Christmas, he showed up at my grandmother's house with his new girlfriend and her kids in this station wagon. And he went into the house and took all the presents under the tree and put them in the back of his car and took off.
Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's your dad's dad?
That's my dad's dad.
Dude, you just answered the question
Right.
of why Larry's the way he is.
Yeah, I know.
That's why.
Yeah.
That's fucking
And I
wild.
think that's a true story. I mean, that's what I heard.
You know what? That is true because I think your mother told me that story.
Yeah.
I think she did.
And then I
Kathy
think
told me that.
I think he ended up going to prison or something. And
Dude, so he didn't have a chance.
yeah, but then think like, well, when he did have a kid, he's gonna do the exact opposite, like I did.
But he
And
didn't
he
have,
didn't.
like you talked about we had men in our lives. Like I had my stepdad, Bob, but we had Ted, who was
Yeah.
our sponsor. And
Oh,
Ted,
yeah.
Ted was like, there's no greater male, role model than Ted.
Yeah, he was the best.
And we had Ted to fucking guide us and show us our part in it and have forgiveness and make us look at why Larry, now we forget, who his dad was.
Right.
Larry didn't have any tools. Warren didn't have any tools. We
No.
got tools.
Yeah, it's true.
And we had, like you said, we had male role models. Like coaching, you're a male role model. I had coaches,
Right, exactly.
that I
Yeah.
look back on that they fucking had an impact on me.
Yeah.
In my life. I want, and I think even today, as a coach, I always said to myself when I was coaching rugby and football, my job is to have a positive impact on their life. Period. That's it.
Right.
Done.
Right.
If I can do that, okay.
And win.
We won. Right, boys? We fucking won.
Yeah.
Didn't we?
Yeah.
Rugby champions every fucking year. Football. Oh, yeah, those are the good old days.
Yeah.
Well,
All right.
Father's Day.
Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day,
Happy
everybody.
Father's Day, everybody.
These guys are going to be fathers, not Jim. Well, Jim could be a father eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He might be a father if he does Ancestry.com. He might have a few kids out there. Dad. Jim. Dad.
saw you on the podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, that was great, Sean. I'm so glad that you
I know.
came.
So
My best
fun.
friend.
So fun. My best
Right
friend.
on the journey.
Yeah. This is what we do.
This is what we do.
Still doing it.
Still doing it. Love you.
Love you.
I
buddy.
love all these guys.
Yeah. So sweet.
Happy Father's Day, everybody.
Happy
From
Father's Day.
Unsavory Fellow.
Aloha.